Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, joining us are our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all are with us as well. Well, for those of you who love those strangers in fiction stories, I have the perfect guest for you. We're excited to welcome Director Ari Mark to our program today. He's getting ready to celebrate a new docu-series that's premiering on HBO and HBO Max on April the 4th. It's called The Invisible Pilot. We're going to talk to Ari not only about what it's been like for him to bring stories to life, but also what appealed to him about this particular story and what he hopes you're able to take away from it. Ari, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It means a lot.
Hey, well, Ari, you've been able to be a part of some other great projects when it comes to sharing stories. I mean, what has it been like for you to see the response already to The Invisible Pilot?
Oh, man. I mean, we are so lucky, and, you know, HBO has been a dream to work with, and we even have Adam McKay as an executive producer, so we're in really, really good company, and couldn't be happier to be doing it, honestly.
So I think the great thing about you, Ari, and I noticed even when I was prepping just today, getting some more background when I was getting ready for this segment, is that, I mean, you've been able to share other stories as well. Is storytelling something that you've always known you wanted to do?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else there is, you know what I'm saying? And I think the reason why people respond so much to these things is everybody kind of loves stories, right? I mean, you go to a party, you tell a story, you want to come up with something to say, you go back to the well of experiences, right? So, you know, I think that you know, I've been lucky enough to kind of just follow that instinct and be able to just keep going, and it hasn't always been easy, but I think we've, you know, when I say we, I'm talking about I have a partner, Philip Lott. You know, and we both are sort of cut from the same cloth, where it's like, okay, you know, we feel like this weird drive to uncover not just stories in general, but stories that are stranger than fiction. You know, stories that make you scratch your head and go, people can do that. You know, and I really just love exploring those limits. You know.
And like you said, Ari, being able to have a platform like HBO and HBO Max covering this is such an amazing thing for this. So talk to us about Gary Betzner. I mean, how did you find out about his story?
Sure, yeah. So it's funny because, you know, usually the people who get stories made about them are the people who are kind of household names. And the funny thing about Gary is you probably never heard of him, you know, and which made it, for us, I think, even more exciting because you know, here's a guy who's a small town kind of crop duster, right? Which is a you know a sort of rural gig, and he's a family man. He's kind of a local hero because he's a bit of a wild man in the sky, right? He does flips. He cleans his wheels on the water and throws beers to the locals who are watching him, right? Like he's that guy. And one day he takes his kids out for ice cream and pulls his car up to the local bridge, and he's never seen from. You know, he just disappears, and so there's this search for his body, and there's this kind of really weird, kind of dark period in his life where you know nobody really knows what the hell happened to him. And you know what you get is you get a guy who just doesn't want to be pinned down. He's a guy who you know has this ability to sort of shapeshift and sort of change who he is over and over and over again. And he almost takes on like a Forrest Gump quality, where he keeps kind of dropping into these very familiar historical moments. And we just love the idea that you've got this very ordinary guy who then goes on to just such extraordinary heights, right? Not just as a pilot, not just as a, let's call us, a smuggler, but also, you know, all the way up to the White House, getting wrapped up in all kinds of messes, including a huge political scandal. So, you know, it's just, I think it's really fun to be able to be on that ride where you feel like you just don't know what's going to happen next, and you don't know how far it's going to go. And you know, check it out because it goes pretty far.
Yeah, and our audience will be able to do that again, as I mentioned, Ari, beginning on April the 4th on HBO and HBO Max. I want to talk about a post you made actually just this month when you were posting about it on your Instagram, and you were talking about this being your first HBO series and how excited you were. And, of course, the comments were coming in, Ari, as you saw. I mean, people congratulating you, being so excited about it. I mean, what is that like as a creative? Because I could imagine you are... When people look at you that are creatives as well, they look and say, well, you know what, there's hope. How does that feel to be a creative that's able to do what they love and to be able to now see that work being paid off?
Thank you so much for asking that question, because it's probably, personally for me, probably the best question you can ask, because it is tough, man. But, I mean, everything's hard, and whether you're creative or whether you're really doing anything that you want to be great at, I just think it's really, really easy to get discouraged and to feel like the marketplace or the industry is impenetrable. And it's just not true. Great content, great stories finds a way to the right places. You just have to be really self-aware, really honest with yourself about how much you're really willing to put in. I think people think that they're willing to put everything into it, but then when the going gets tough, I think it's easy to pivot and kind of go another way. And I think for the people who need to do it, who feel like they've got to do it for some weird void that they're filling in their lives, you do it. You just keep going, and I hope people do, and I hope creatives do, because we need a lot of that in this world.
So true, and I think it's such a great reminder for all of us of what is still possible. I think even as we're talking about the Invisible Pilot, I think you never know. I mean, you never know what that thing is going to be for you. But the important thing, as you said, is just to keep going, and that's the big thing. Again, everyone, Ari Mark has been our guest, one of the directors of the brand new docuseries that's headed to HBO and HBO Max, premiering on April the 4th. Again, it's called The Invisible Pilot. Make sure you guys check your local listings, of course, to be able to find it for yourself on HBO for sure. And Ari, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Oh, yeah. You can certainly, you just mentioned my Instagram. Happy to respond to messages there. And always interested in continuing the conversation. I mean, that's what these shows are all about. So anytime.
All right. So looking forward to that. Ari, congratulations to you again, and thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.